Today's class will be a 35-minute beginner workout to open up your chest and shoulders. Let's begin in an easy cross-leg position. Roll your shoulders up and back. Place 2 hands on your belly, and let's take a deep inhale, filling up your belly, and exhale. Again, take a deep inhale and exhale. Repeat that 2 more times on your own. Let's place our hands on our ribs and hold your lower abdominals in to your spine. Now let's take a nice deep inhale into our ribs and back, and exhale. Again, inhale, filling up your ribs and your back, and exhale. Repeat that 2 more times. Try your best to keep your belly into your spine as you're breathing into your ribs and your back. Release and place your fingertips on the mat, and let's drop our chin to our chest and roll our head over to the left. And roll your head through center and over to the right, stretching out the back and the side of our neck. Let's do that again. Roll your head over to the left, really reach through those right fingertips, and roll your head over to the right, reaching through your left fingertips. Roll your head back to center and come up. Let's place our right hand behind our head. Let's take a lateral stretch over to our left side. If it feels comfortable, go ahead and take your gaze up to the ceiling and really point your elbow up to open the side of your body and open up through your chest. Turn your head back to center and come up. Extend your elbow and then cross your midline and twist over your left shoulder. Try to grow taller and really open up through your collarbones. And float back to center. Let's repeat that on the other side. Place your left hand behind your head and take a lateral stretch over to your right. Keep your gaze forward, or if it's comfortable for you, go ahead and turn and look up to the ceiling, pointing your elbow up, opening up through the chest and the shoulders, and feeling a nice opening through the side of your body. Bring your focus back to center and come up. Extend your left elbow, cross your midline, and take a twist to your right, looking over your right shoulder. Again, really expanding through the chest in this position. And float back to center. Let's go ahead and make our way into a tabletop position. Wrists underneath shoulders, and then knees underneath of your hips. Drop your belly and look up, coming into an arch, and bring your belly button in, rounding through the spine. Again, drop your belly, opening up, and navel to spine, drop your head down. Let's do this 2 more times. Keep a nice soft bend in your elbow. This is your last one. Now come back to your tabletop and let's do some lateral stretches. So looking over your right shoulder and bringing your tailbone towards your head, and then to the left. So making little C curves with your spine. Keep your belly button in so you don't arch through your lumbar spine. You have 1 more on each side. and come back to center. Bring your belly button in, reach through the crown of your head, and float your left arm up by your ear and place it back down on the mat. Float your right hand up by your ear and place it down on the mat. Just 2 more times. Try to stay nice and stable through your spine and avoid rocking side to side. Now let's come into some arm circles. So reach your left arm up by your ear and then open through the chest, spiral, and take those fingertips back and back to the mat. Other side. Reach through your right fingertips, open up through the chest, circle, and back down to the mat. Just 1 more on each side. Really open up through that shoulder and take your gaze with you, following your fingertips. Last one. Open up, spiral, and come back. Let's reach our hands forward into a chest opener. Place your forehead on the mat and just relax your head and your chest through your arms, creating a nice long line from the crown of your head all the way up through your tailbone, much like a downward facing dog. And walk your hands back to your tabletop position. Let's tuck our toes, really bringing your navel into your spine, and press the mat away, coming into floating tabletop, and place your knees down. Press your mat away, lifting your knees off of your mat, and come back down. 2 more times. Really press through your shoulders. This is your last one. Press and release. Now let's come into a floating tabletop position. Send your hips back into your modified downward facing dog, keeping those knees nice and bent. Ripple through the spine, coming into your floating tabletop, and then press the mat away, sending your tailbone up. Again, ripple through your spine, floating tabletop, and then press your mat away. You have 2 more times. Bring lots of movement into your spine and then send that tailbone up. This is your last one. Ripple through the spine and then press back into your modified downward facing dog. From here, walk your hands back to your forward fold and keep your knees soft. And slowly roll all the way up to standing, and your head is the very last thing to come up. Let's walk to the front of our mat and begin our flow. Standing with your feet hip distance apart, soften the knees, roll your shoulders up and back. Place your left hand on your waist and your right hand behind your head. And take a lateral stretch over to your left, pointing that elbow up to the ceiling. Come back to center and switch sides. Stretch over to the right and bring that left elbow up to the ceiling. Come back to center. Interlace your fingers above your head, straighten those knees, arch the spine, and look up to the ceiling. Bring your chin to your chest, release the fingers, and roll down to your forward fold, keeping those knees soft if you need to. Let's place our left leg back into a lunge, and then set the back knee down on the mat, coming into a hip flexor stretch. Bring your hands to your waist, tuck your tailbone under, and then if it feels comfortable for you, go ahead and take your body forward. Make sure your right knee is over your ankle and you're keeping your belly button into your spine. Place your left hand on the mat and your right hand behind your head. Let's bring some rotation into our spine. So opening up to the right, point that elbow up to the ceiling, and then come back to center. Again, point that elbow up to the ceiling, open up through your shoulders, and come back to center. Rotate, elbow up, come back to center. Rotate, elbow up, and come back to center. Let's hold this last one. If it feels comfortable on your neck, go ahead and take your gaze up to the ceiling. Really expand through your collarbones. Press the mat away with your left hand. And come back to center. Bring your right hand down to the mat. Shift your hips back to a hamstring stretch. Flex your ankles and toes. Start with a nice long spine and then fold over your right leg. Ripple back up and fold over that leg. Again, bring it up and fold over. Keep both hip bones facing the front of the mat. Now hold this last one. If you need to soften your knee, please do so. Try to keep your spine nice and long in this stretch. And release, shift back to your lunge. Slide your right leg back to a modified plank position. Keep your elbows in as you lower all the way down to your mat. Roll your shoulders up and back and look up, coming into a nice small arch. Lower yourself down, navel to spine, one push-up, tuck your toes, and send your tailbone up into your downward facing dog. You can keep your knees bent, or if you would like to, you can straighten them. Walk your hands back to your forward fold and slowly roll up to standing. Interlace your fingers, coming into a chest expander. And if it's comfortable for you, bend the knees and fold over your legs. And come back up to standing and release. Let's repeat that sequence on the other side. So walk to the front of your mat, feet hip distance apart, shoulders back, belly button in, tailbone down. Bring your right hand to your waist, left hand behind your head, and lateral stretch over to the right, really opening up through your side body. Come back to center and switch to the other side. Point your elbow up to the ceiling, maybe take your gaze up. Come back to center. Take your hands above your head, straighten your knees, and take an arch. Release the hands, tuck your chin, and roll down into your forward fold. Step your right leg back this time, coming into your lunge. Place your right knee down on the mat and bring your torso up, placing your hands on your waist. Tuck your pelvis under and then shift your hips forward if that's comfortable for you. Make sure that left knee is over your left ankle and you're drawing your belly button into your spine. Place your right hand down on the mat and your left hand behind your head. Open up, point that elbow up to the ceiling, and come back to center. Rotate, looking up to the ceiling, and come back to center. Again, rotate, really expand through the chest, and center. Rotate, pointing that elbow up, and come back to center. Let's rotate and hold this last one. Really press through your right hand, open up through the collarbones. Point that elbow up to the ceiling and maybe take your gaze up. Release, come back to center, shift your hips back to your hamstring stretch, and flex the ankles and toes. Fold forward, and then ripple through the spine and come back up. Again, fold forward, keeping your spine long, and then come back up. Keep both hip bones facing the front of your mat. Maybe keeping your left knee soft if that feels more comfortable for you. And let's hold this last one. Keeping the spine long, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. And shift back to your lunge, step back to your modified plank position, keeping those elbows in, navel to spine, lower all the way down to your mat. Roll your shoulders back, come up into a small arch, but maybe come a little bit higher, and then lower down, press your mat away, tuck your toes, and come into your downward facing dog, really expanding through the chest. Walk your hands back towards your feet, coming into your forward fold. And gently roll all the way up to standing. Interlace those fingers, coming into a chest expander, maybe looking up. And if it's okay, go ahead and bend the knees and fold forward. And gently roll all the way up to standing. Let's move into our second flow. So walk to the front of your mat. And we're going to start with a balance. So feel free to grab a wall if you need to. Shift your weight into your right foot and reach back for the left ankle or foot, coming into a quad stretch. Keep your navel into your spine and your knees together. If you would like a challenge, go ahead and tip forward, keeping the crown of your head and your knee in line with each other. Don't change anything in your torso. You're just tipping over. And then rewind, coming back up to that quad stretch. Release the foot, take your hands above your head, coming into an arch, and roll down to your forward fold. Step your left leg back into a lunge, and bring those arms up by your ears. Navel into your spine, tuck your tailbone under. Let's set the back knee down on the mat, and then press the mat away, bringing those arms back up. Set the knee down, and then press the mat away. 2 more times. Back knee down, and come up. Last one. Send the knee down, and back up. From here, interlace your fingers, and come into a chest expander. If it's comfortable, go ahead and look up to the ceiling. Release. Send your hands down to the mat. Step back to your plank position, lower the knees, uncurl the toes, and lower yourself all the way down. Come into that small arch like you did before, or if you feel ready for it, go ahead and press yourself up into a higher arch. Lower down, 1 push-up, tuck your toes, and send those hips back to your downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to your feet, coming into your forward fold, and roll all the way up to standing. Let's repeat that on the other side. So starting with that balance, again grabbing a wall if you need to. Let's shift our weight into our left foot this time, reaching for our right ankle or foot. Navel into your spine and bring those knees together. If it feels available to you, go ahead and tip forward, keeping your head and your knee in one long line. Remember, our torso has not changed. We're just hinging at the hip, tipping over, and slowly come back up to standing. And release the foot down. Interlace the fingers, coming into that arch. Chin to chest, coming into your forward fold. Step your right leg back into your lunge. Arms up by the ears, navel into spine. Send your knee down to the mat, lower the arms down, and press the mat away. Send the back knee down, touch the mat, and press. Let's do that 2 more times. Last one. Stay here, interlace your fingers, come into your chest expander, really open up through the shoulders. If it's okay, go ahead and look up to the ceiling. Arms up by the ears, send your hands down to the mat, step back to your plank, knees down, and lower all the way down, moving into your highest arch. Shoulders down, keep your belly button into your spine, and lower yourself all the way down to your mat. 1 push-up, tuck your toes, and come into your downward facing dog. We're going to make our way onto our belly. So from your downward dog, ripple through your spine into your plank position, lower your knees, uncurl your toes, and lower yourself all the way down to the mat. Bring your forehead to the mat and place your palms by your hips. We're going to come into flight. So roll the shoulders back and then lower down. Bring those shoulder blades together and come back down. 2 more times. Shoulder blades together, keeping those shoulders away from your ears. Keep your gaze at the mat. Try not to crunch in your neck. Now keep your upper body on the mat, squeeze your legs together, lift those legs off the mat, and lower. Keep your knees straight as you lift and lower, really activating our glute muscles. Knees straight, lift, squeeze those inner thighs together, and lower. 1 more time, squeeze, straighten, and lift, and lower down. Now let's lift both. Let's lift our upper body and lower body, keeping your hands down on the mat, and lower. Keep your navel into your spine this entire time. Lift and lower. 2 more times. Keep your gaze down, squeeze those thighs together. Last one. Squeeze and lift. Stay here, bring your hands by your hips and hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hands underneath of your shoulders, press yourself back to a well-deserved child's pose. Take nice deep inhales and exhales into your lower back. Shift forward and lower yourself back down to your mat, coming into shoulder rolls. So cactus your right arm, place your left fingertips by your ribs, and roll to your right side. So your right arm is at a right angle. And if it feels comfortable for you, go ahead and take that left foot up and over, increasing the stretch in the shoulder and in the chest. Try not to arch through the spine. And roll back onto your stomach. Cactus your left arm at a 90-degree angle. Roll onto your left side, fingertips by your ribs. And if it's available, go ahead and take your right leg up and over. Again, trying not to arch through the spine. Stretching out that shoulder and chest. And come back to center. Bring your left hand underneath of your nose and reach back for your right foot, coming into a quad stretch. Really press your heel into your hip. If this feels challenging for you, just stay right here. Or if it's available, go ahead and reach on the inside of the foot, press your foot into your hand, and start to look up, and then press your mat away with your left hand, coming into your half bow stretch. Really open up through the collarbones, feeling this nice gentle back bend. And slowly lower back to your quad stretch and release. Let's repeat that on the other side. Bring your right hand underneath of your nose and reach back for your left ankle. Press your heel into your hip and stay here if this feels challenging for you. Or if you would like to, reach on the inside of the foot, press the foot into your hand, lifting up, and then press your hand into the mat, coming into that half bow stretch on the other side. Keep your shoulders away from the ears. Find length through the crown of the head. And slowly lower back down to your mat. Release, place your hands underneath of your shoulders, press back to a well-deserved child's pose. Again, sending your inhales and exhales into that lower back. Let's shift forward into our modified plank position. And we're going to sink our hips into the mat, but keep our elbows straight. Really opening up through the chest, and then bring your navel back in and come back to that plank. Sink your hips down, and then navel into your spine, modified plank. Again, sink your hips down, shoulders away from your ears, and then modified plank. Sink your hips down and modified plank. Now walk your legs together, sink your hips down, and then I want you to press the mat away with the tops of your feet. Lift those knees off of the mat, coming into your upward facing dog. Set the knees down and sit back into a child's pose. We're going to do that one more time. Come back into a modified plank position and sink your hips down. Press the tops of the feet into the mat, squeeze your inner thighs together, maybe look up to the ceiling, coming into your upward facing dog. And then option one will be going back into your child's pose, or navel into spine, press your mat away, lift those hips up and roll over the tops of your feet into your downward facing dog. Look forward, take a gentle walk into your hands, and then just gently sit down onto your mat. Let's extend our left leg out in front of us and place our right foot on the inside of our left thigh. Sit up nice and tall, reach your right arm up, and fold over your left leg. Keep your spine long, and when you can't go any further, go ahead and round over, relaxing the neck and the shoulders. Lengthen out through the spine, coming up to your seated position. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh, bend your left knee, coming into a seated glute stretch. So send your hips towards your heel and really press your right knee away from your torso. Flex through those right ankles and toes to protect the knee, and you should feel this on the outside of your right hip. And then rotate over, setting the right foot down on the floor. Hug your right leg with your left arm and come into a seated twist. Really open through the chest, feeling a nice twist through the spine. And come back to center. Let's repeat those 3 stretches on the other side. Extend your right leg out, left leg into your thigh, reach your left arm up, increasing at your hip, nice long spine, come into a one-legged forward fold. When you can't go any further, go ahead and round through the spine and just relax over that leg. Reach long and come all the way back up to a seated position. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh and bend your right knee. And go ahead and take your hips close to that heel. Flex through your left ankles and toes and really press that left knee away from your torso, feeling this stretch on the outside of your left hip. Send your left foot down to the floor, sitting up nice and tall. Wrap your right arm around your left leg and twist over your left shoulder. Open up through the collarbone, feeling this nice twist in the spine. And release. Let's come to a balance on our tailbone. Sit in the middle of your mat, place your feet in front of you, and place your fingertips off to the side. Bring your navel into your spine and tuck your tailbone under and come to the tops of your toes. If it feels okay, go ahead and place your fingertips in front of your hips, challenging your core. Open up through the chest and then lift your left leg up and lift your right leg up. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. And let's do some toe taps. Tap your left toes down and then your right toes down. Left toes down and then your right toes down. So in this exercise, we're moving from our hip, not from our knee. So knees will be slightly bent, but the motion is coming from the hip. You're almost there. Now just hold, and if it's available, go ahead and release your hands off of the mat, open up through the chest, navel to spine, and release. Excellent job, everyone. Let's go ahead and roll our spine all the way down to our back. Shuffle your heels all the way into your hips and place your arms by your side. Place your palms on the mat or your pinkies, or if that's not comfortable for you, go ahead and place the back of your hand on the mat and then press up into a bridge position, releasing those hip flexors. Stay there or walk your shoulders underneath of your torso and interlace your fingers, coming into a chest expander. Really press your hips up to the ceiling, coming into an arch. And then release those hands. Take your shoulders out and lower your hips back down to the mat. From here, crease at your hip and bring your right knee into your chest. You can grab underneath of the thigh, or if it's comfortable, you can go ahead and grab the shin. Extend your left leg nice and long. cactus your right arm, and then cross that right knee over to the left. And if it's comfortable on your neck, go ahead and look to your right, coming in to a supine spinal twist. And come back to center. And let's repeat that stretch on the other side. Creasing at your hip, bring your left leg into your chest, hugging underneath of that thigh or on that shin if that's more comfortable for you. Extend your right leg nice and long, cactus your left arm, and then cross that left leg over to the right and look towards the left if that's comfortable for you. Try to relax the shoulder down to the floor. And come back up to center. Hug both knees into your chest. Rock yourself up to an easy cross-leg position. Let's bring our fingertips to the side. Reach your right arm up and over your ear, extending through those fingertips. And other side. Reaching your left arm up and over, extending through those fingertips. And back to center. Inhale, reach your arms up, and exhale back down. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for the YouTube algorithm. I'll see you next time.